Do you think you already know everything about Moses? If so, get ready for a surprise. Throughout history, Moses has been depicted as one of humanity's greatest leaders, the liberator of the Hebrew people, and the bearer of divine laws. However, there are lesser-known aspects of his life that might completely change the way you see this great man. What if I told you that not all these facts are as noble as you might think? On this journey, we will reveal 6 surprising facts about Moses that most people have never heard of. These details will not only challenge what you think you know, but also provide you with valuable lessons that could transform your own life. So, are you ready to discover what few dare to tell? Moses, this name echoes through the centuries, evoking the figure of a leader whose impact transcends the boundaries of time. Even those who haven't delved into the pages of the Bible have heard of this man, who defied Pharaoh's power and freed an entire people from slavery. Think of Moses as the archetype of a transformational leader, who not only physically led his people but also guided them spiritually and morally. His story is one of someone who, against all odds, led the Hebrews through the desert for 40 long years, sustaining them not only with manna from heaven but also with the strength of his unshakable faith. Now, when we look at Moses' leadership, we see a man who embodied determination and resilience, qualities that are as relevant today as they were millennia ago. Imagine yourself in his position, facing the uncertainties of the desert while dealing with the complaints of an impatient people. What does this teach us? That leadership is often an exercise in patience and long-term vision. Today, we can apply this wisdom to leading our own lives and communities, whether in managing a challenging project or overcoming personal obstacles. It's intriguing to think that Moses, with all his wisdom and experience, was also the transmitter of divine laws, delivering the 10 Commandments to the people. These commandments weren't just rules but principles that would guide the life of an entire nation. Thus, he not only liberated the Hebrews physically but also provided them with moral direction. And it's here that we realize that a true leader not only guides but also illuminates the path with wisdom and purpose. Speaking of which, there's something fascinating that few know about this great leader, something that might surprise you. Few know that Moses, the great leader and prophet, also faced a moment of extreme vulnerability. Leprosy, a feared and stigmatized disease in those times, touched his skin, but not by chance. This event, orchestrated by God himself, wasn't just a demonstration of divine power but a lesson about the nature of miracles and healing. Imagine a simple gesture, placing his hand on his chest, and Moses' health deteriorated, only to be restored in a matter of seconds. This makes us reflect on how, in our own lives, moments of fragility can transform into demonstrations of strength. What this episode teaches us is that life often puts us in situations that seem unsolvable, where hope seems distant. Just as Moses had to face leprosy, we also face our own metaphorical leprosies, whether in the form of health challenges, emotional crises, or financial difficulties. But like him, we have the capacity to seek healing and transformation, often in unexpected ways. Think about how this story can reflect on your own life. Instead of giving up in the face of adversity, see it as an opportunity to experience a personal miracle. Moreover, this event was a sign for the Hebrew people, showing that God's power went beyond human understanding. If God could heal Moses instantly, what else might he be capable of? This is the question that not only echoed in the minds of those who witnessed the event but also in our own hearts when we face challenges. If Moses, with all his importance, needed to go through this to understand God's power, what can we learn from our own moments of difficulty? And what if I told you this wasn't the only surprising event in Moses' life? Now, imagine the scene: Moses, the chosen one to liberate the people of Israel in a life-or-death moment. No, we're not talking about one of his many battles, but a peculiar and almost incomprehensible episode. At an inn, along the way, God, the one who had called him to such a grand mission, decides to take his life. It may seem contradictory, but this moment reveals something profound about the importance of obedience and commitment to divine orders. This event, although strange at first glance, has a powerful lesson. Moses had not circumcised his son, a fundamental right for the people of God. And it was precisely here that danger presented itself. The intervention of his wife, Zipporah, in performing the circumcision, saved Moses' life. This teaches us that, in our lives, neglected commitments or forgotten duties can have serious consequences. Think about the promises you made or the responsibilities you left unfulfilled for some reason. Sometimes we need a push, like the one Zipporah gave to set things right. Now, consider the symbolism of this act. Moses, despite being a powerful leader, depended on someone else's intervention to survive. This reminds us that, no matter how strong or capable we are, we all need help at some point. Moreover, our journey can be interrupted if we are not aligned with our principles or with the expectations of those around us. And so, reflecting on this story, a more intriguing question arises. What happens when, even being the chosen one, we are tested in unexpected ways? The end of Moses' life is shrouded in mystery and reverence. Unlike the great patriarchs before him, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whose final resting places are known, Moses was buried in a secret location, hidden from human eyes. This was not by chance but an intentional decision by God, who chose to hide Moses' body, possibly to protect the people from the temptation of turning his tomb into an object of veneration. Imagine how easy it would have been for the Hebrews, still so attached to idolatrous practices, to make Moses a kind of idol, something that would surely divert their attention from the true divine purpose. This fact makes us think about what happens when something we value is taken out of our reach. How many times in life do we lose or are deprived of something we considered important, only to realize later that it protected us from a greater distraction? Just like Moses' body, sometimes certain losses are actually forms of protection. It's an opportunity to reflect on what should truly be our focus and how material things or even memories can sometimes divert us from the essential. On the other hand, the story of the dispute over Moses' body between the Archangel Michael and Satan adds an even more intriguing layer. It suggests that, even after death, Moses still represented a powerful symbol, both for good and evil. This battle makes us think about the legacy we leave behind and how it can be used, both to perpetuate good and to be distorted. And it's curious, isn't it? How something as important as the body of such a great leader could disappear without a trace, while at the same time opening space for a new chapter in the history of the people of Israel. Moses was 80 years old when he received the most important mission of his life, showing that it's never too late to answer God's call. Imagine, after decades living as a shepherd in Midian, he might have thought his days of action were over. Yet, at that moment, already advanced in years, God called him to lead the liberation of the Hebrews from Egypt. This is a powerful reminder that age is just a number when it comes to fulfilling our purpose. We never know when the opportunity to do something great might arise, and Moses is a living example that we should not underestimate what we can still accomplish. This story challenges the common idea that great achievements must occur in youth. Often, we think that the best years for great deeds are behind us, but Moses shows us the opposite. At 80 years old, he not only accepted the call, but also faced enormous challenges with courage and determination. For those who believe they've missed their chances, Moses is an inspiration to reassess that perspective. Perhaps the greatest adventure of your life is still to come, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Who knows? A project you've always dreamed of might still be awaiting you, and all that's missing is the courage to start, regardless of age. Furthermore, Moses' mission at 80 years old also teaches us about patience and God's timing. He spent years in preparation, not knowing that all that time was molding him for something greater. Often, we get frustrated with waiting, not realizing that we are being prepared for something significant. Like Moses, it's important to be ready when the call comes, no matter how long it takes. And this leads us to reflect, what might we be being prepared for, and how can we stay ready for when the right moment arrives? Moses dreamed of entering the promised land, the one he had worked so hard for his people to reach. However, even after all his dedication and leadership, he was prevented from stepping on that sacred soil due to an act of disobedience. This fact reveals one of life's harshest lessons. We don't always achieve what we most desire, even when we've dedicated our lives to it. Moses, in a moment of weakness, acted against God's direct order, and the consequence was that he could not enjoy the fruits of his labor. This teaches us that our actions, no matter how small they may seem, can have significant repercussions. This story reminds us that obedience and faithfulness are crucial, especially when we are in positions of leadership or responsibility. Moses, who led with such wisdom and strength, was carried away by a moment of anger and impatience, and this cost him dearly. To many, this may seem like a harsh punishment, but it is also a warning about the importance of maintaining our integrity until the end. In our daily lives, it's easy to fall into the temptation of taking shortcuts or deviating from our values, especially when we are tired or frustrated. However, this story shows us that we must always strive to do what is right, even in the small things. And yet, even without entering the promised land, Moses' legacy remained untouched. He led his people to the brink of their destiny and prepared the next generation to take up the mantle of leadership. This teaches us that sometimes our role may be to prepare the ground for others to reap the benefits. Moses may not have seen the promised land, but he was instrumental in bringing his people there. This makes us reflect on the lasting impact we can have, even when we are not the ones who will see the final result. And with this reflection comes the question, what legacy are we building, and how will our actions today shape the future of those who come after us? After diving into these 6 surprising facts about Moses, it's clear that his life is an inexhaustible source of valuable lessons. But the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Are you willing to apply these lessons to your own life? Think about the challenges you face today and how Moses' story can inspire your decisions. Don't let time, difficulties, or even past mistakes prevent you from fulfilling your purpose. How can you start acting differently from now on? Now, the change is in your hands. Subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue exploring teachings that can transform your journey. After all, there's always more to learn and apply. So why not start today?